here as well. Coach West is here.
He's here.
Welcome into the show, Coach West. Appreciate it. No, I know today's crazy, so we already let everybody know.
I have a little green and white on my mind.
There you go.
And Mr. Yao, of course, came in and we were talking football. On top of about 4 loads of laundry, but I apologize.
No problem. We talked about the game a little bit last week, but just maybe a little bit, share your thoughts about the Breckenridge game in this segment.
I didn't feel like we could control the line of scrimmage very well. That was the biggest issue. Now, we knew that was going to be trouble coming in. They were extremely large up front, big, strong. Did a great job of playing technique. We big played them. I felt like we did a better job of that. Landon Lewis had a great run or two, and we were able to outrun the safety on a few occasions. Just the execution overall, offensively, put us in a bind on some 3 and outs. And I don't know if it was anything that necessarily Breckenridge did on some of those. It may have been a drop snap or a 5-yard penalty. We hurt ourselves on some drives that cannot happen tonight.
All right, last night here at Chesterfield, a couple of big games with the freshmen and the JVs. They hosted. We'll talk about the outcomes of those games and what you saw from your young kids in that last night.
Man, we were proud of them. Coming in, that little freshman group obviously is pretty thin, and Wall comes in, who had just come off a win over 4A Lano, 51-8, on the freshman end of things. We didn't tell our kids that we were about to see one of the best 2A freshman teams around, 3A freshman teams around. We wanted our kids to just buckle down and find a way. And I felt like they played very hard. We lost that game 28-12, but we were ahead at one point. They responded well. We just simply got tired that second half and couldn't stop some of the fear that they were running. They put you in a bind and had some speed that we had a hard time tackling. But I was sure proud of them. JV, that may have been one of the better games I've seen us play. They had Cecil Beasley had a great game on both sides of the ball, extremely physical. Did a great job of leading us. Hurt them on the smash on a few plays. I think we scored on the RC and Cecil. Then quarterback Tyler Gill, Colton Case Gill, Tyler Colton Case.
You got it.
Case Gill played extremely well, scoring the winning touchdown on the bootleg run, and had that pretty well blocked. Jordan Duck, fullback, had a great block out there that sprung him.
You talked about how the freshman from Wall did against Lano. How did the JV against that Lano?
I never did find out that score. They won. I don't know how bad they won. That JV hadn't lost a game in about 3 years.
So it was a pretty good matchup last night.
It was.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but our JV lost. The last time they lost was in 2012 against Comanche, I believe it was.
I believe you are right. That was in Comanche, and I believe that is the last loss at that JV. We liked the lost one last week. I felt like Breckenridge's JV might have even been better than Wall's, and playing them in Breckenridge was a tough victory. We've had 2 tough games, but it's been good for that JV. They have grown up a lot. I felt like they had a better week of scout team against our varsity. I felt like they became more aggressive instead of timid, and that it showed last night. Our JV grew up immensely.
And it came right down to the end. I think we scored with a little over 30 seconds left, and then had to intercept the pass in the end zone to get the win.
With 35 seconds left on the clock, Wall took over on their last drive, but with pretty good field position, and we really didn't get to relax until walking stick pulled down the I&T.
Of course, next week, the junior high guys will be getting their first competition. How's it been going through, I guess they're in Kansas this week, Tommy?
They are, and they have, they've looked pretty good. And impressively executing the offense. Typically you walk out and watch part of that junior high, and you want to watch them play defense. And when they take offensive snaps, I usually walk back in and get on the phone because it's usually a mess. But it's been pretty enjoyable seeing them execute. They have now. That's of course most of that's on air. We haven't played anybody yet, but thus far both the 7th and the 8th grade have looked pretty good in practice. The kids are out there having a good time. They're already acclimated to that heat a whole lot better than our coaching staff is. So we're encouraged, and we hope to see a pretty good little junior high step out on next Thursday at versus Comanche.
Right, and they'll get to go, like you say. Is it split schedule again next week?
It is. Our JV will travel and play in Comanche at 5 o'clock. The 7th and 8th grade will play in Cisco starting at 5. The 8th grade will follow the 7th grade, and I believe we'll put together a freshman game with Clyde that will follow the 8th grade game in Cisco.
Okay, so 3 games here and 1 on the road.
That's correct.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the district schedule last week. I believe Millsap got a win. Henry and Holiday both get pretty good wins. And then Jacksboro was off, and the other 2, I think it was Nocona and City View both fell. Anything really surprised you with what happened last week in the district? Of course, Eastland got a big win too.
I was surprised that Holiday found a way to beat Stanford. And I know Stanford had a very strong senior class, as we did last year. They had won their scrimmages, and Holiday had struggled last year. I talked to Frank Johnson, the head coach at Holiday, that used to be in Colorado City. He was very nervous about this game, but they found a way to win. Obviously, that being our first district game in Holiday has been a very big worry of ours. So that was a curious score. I'm looking forward to seeing those guys on video and what they have. But that was probably the biggest surprise of the night.
And Jacksboro tonight will take on Breckenridge, so you get a little bit of a feel as far as what they can do against Breckenridge tonight with what kind of group they've got coming in.
Yeah, we're curious to know how good Breckenridge really is. You know, they definitely hung in there with us and had a chance to even beat us. We certainly hope that they get on Jacksboro pretty quick. Hopefully, we're definitely rooting for the Buckaroos since Jacksboro's in our district. We need the Buckaroos to have a good outing tonight.
All right, of course, can't put this aside any longer. We've got a huge game tonight against the number 2 team in the state, the Wall Hawks, who have, I believe it's a 17-game winning streak going in the regular season right now. Their last loss in the regular season was in 2012. That's the same year that you guys lost to Stanford that year. So both clubs coming in. A huge game tonight with not so much of an implication in regards to the playoffs, but both teams looking to do something well tonight. And we're going to get into that a little more in our next segment. Right now, we're going to take a little bit of a break, and once again, you're listening to First Financial Bank, Cisco Morning Time on KATX Radio. Back into it. Financial Bank, you're live on KATX Radio. Tonight's opponent, Coach West, great program, just like you guys. And in case anyone forgot, these guys played in the Division I title game last year, right before the Lobos played Porfirio. Talk to everybody a little bit about what you see on film from the Wall Hawks.
Well, I think the biggest surprise, I don't know if it was a surprise, but a biggest concern is just how much depth they have, how many bodies they have over there. There's 44 varsity kids on the sideline at our level of football. Of course, they're one division bigger, Division I, we're Division II, but it just looks like a big 4A football team as far as numbers go. They will not be extremely tired in the third and fourth quarter, which we will be. And we have had this discussion all week long with our kids. Our kids are going to have to work twice as hard, no doubt, because most of them are playing both ways. I think they have two-way starters. One of them is their running back from last year. He'll be the fastest kid on the field, no doubt. We have no one that could run with him on the track. Thank goodness we're on the football field. And we have to be able to contain the running back. He has extreme speed, and one missed tackle that he'll be celebrating the end zone. The fullback has also been a starter since he's a sophomore. He's a senior now. He is definitely a threat. They run midline and veer very, very well. On the midline, if our tech doesn't do a good job of squeezing the down block and taking fullback, Mike linebacker scrapes over the top. He also will be celebrating in the end zone. Have to be extremely disciplined. They run the veer very well. Our ends have had a very good week, but they have to have fullback responsibility on the down block. One mistake with their kind of speed, and they will have rip off some pretty big yards. They put you in a bind because of how well they run those things, and they have that little short motion where they're running the motion that into trips. And when we get ready to tango into a cover 3, They can hurt you on the dumps. They can hurt you on they put your secondary in a bind, I guess is what I'm getting at. And those corners and safeties better come to play tonight.
Last week had a little bit of a playoff feel. The stands were full there at Chesley Field. You got people standing on the fence, at least in one end zone, pretty much all the way around. This week is probably going to rival that for sure. How big is this game against Wall for you guys on a team where most of these guys haven't really had to be the leaders to this point? They've played in a lot of games, but now you're giving them a chance to play against a team that's going to have a playoff game kind of feel.
It is, and that's the good thing about it. It will be a playoff environment. We're curious to how some of our kids will react to that. That's something we have very little control of as coaching staff. What will our kids do? How will they react? We're probably going to be down at some point in this game. In most big games you are. It bounces back and forth. How will our kids react when they get down, when a big play happens? We're looking for that reaction. How will they recover from it? So that's going to be big, and that's more likely going to happen tonight, and hopefully we'll see a positive reaction, and our team just gets better. When something bad happens, our good team will get better. If something bad happens, if we fall off, then we'll know right where we're at.
You talked about the defense just a second ago in regards to their assignments and responsibilities tonight in this game, and how not taking care of that's going to hurt them. But going into the game tonight, Coach Brunson, the defense has done really well so far through 2 scrimmages in the game. They're facing a really tough task because this is maybe more so than some other teams, like you alluded to already. One slip up in an assignment and you could be toast on that play. How big of an impact can the defense have for your team in their success tonight?
We've got to force turnovers against a team like this. The good thing about the midline and veer that they run so well is there's somebody that they're not blocking and they're reading with their quarterback. However, the bad thing about the midline and veer is the possibility of a turnover. You're undecisive at times on should I give it or should I pull it. And if we're blowing up that mesh point with an indecisive read, then it causes turnovers. And if they can get through this game without any turnovers, they're going to win it. We have to force turnovers at the mesh point. We have to be aggressive. We obviously got to know what our assignments are and do our jobs because they're just too dadgum athletic to let one slide through. And they did a good job of influencing it too. I mean, Coach Guy is coaching the state championship game. He knows how to scheme you. He'll scheme us just like we'll attempt to do versus him. But assignment football and the turnovers will be pretty important tonight for us. But on the other end of it, and I'm going to take some credit for this or take the blame for it, we can't go 3 and out offensively like we did last week against Breckenridge. We did that way too many times. We punted more times last week than we punted all year long last year. We have to control the football. We can't go 3 and out and punt the ball to one of the best offenses in the state. We have to control it. We've got to do a better job at the line of scrimmage. And we blew a bunch of assignments last week offensively. We can't fumble a snap out of the gun because we're not good enough to make it a 5-yard loss. The second and 15s with this team is going to be a little more difficult than what we could do last year. And these are things that we've talked about with our kids. They're very understanding. We're more like a 2008, 2009 football team that we're going to go get our 4 yards with a chance to break one late, but we had a hard time making a penalties in those games. We can still be very good, but we've got to play defense and control the ball.
All right, remind everyone as we wrap it up here this morning, it's kind of the itinerary for this afternoon. A little bit of an early out. What time is send-off and when are you guys going to be on the road?
We were letting loose at 2:15. I believe the send-off is at 2:30. Send-off may be at 2:15, to be honest. But we plan to be on the road at 2:30, heading toward Wall, Texas.
All right, I appreciate it, Coach West. Once again, best of luck tonight. I know you guys have worked hard for this game, and hopefully everybody has a big smile on their face this evening. That'll do it for us here at Cisco Morning Huddle, that First Financial Bank. Again, thank them if you come by. For those that are going to stay on, be sure you stay tuned for the Eastland Morning Huddle over at Eastland. Terry Slavens and head coach Cliff Watkins will be coming up right after we get done. For everyone that's been a part of this one, thanks. Thanks to Matthew back in the studio. We'll see you next week.